Hi, I'm Andy Choi with Verizon. I want to welcome all of you to our small business webinar series. Now, with all of our webinars, we aim to bring you the latest insights on finding success for your small business by hosting industry experts with innovative and inspiring ideas. Our guest today is Mari Smith. Now, she is so well recognized as a premier Facebook marketer. Facebook actually hired her to help teach business across the U.S. She's the author of The New Relationship Marketing, and her work has earned her quite the nickname, the Queen of Facebook. Now, we're doing a series of 3 episodes with Mari, and our first today, you're going to learn how the power of storytelling on Facebook and Instagram can help bring new life to your business and connect with your customers. So let's get right to it. Here now is Mari Smith.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. I love stories, and I am really looking forward to today's presentation, bringing your small business to life with Facebook and Instagram stories. So real quick, we just had a quick introduction there. I love to put my bio in bullet points to underscore a couple of points. I really care deeply about my audience. I call you my peeps. That is everybody that follows me, my customers, my clients, my friends, my followers. I really have a passion for making sure that you, my fellow entrepreneurs, marketers, small business owners, that you succeed. And I love to simplify Facebook and Instagram, social media, so that you really understand it. And then you usually notice I have an accent when I start talking. I am Scottish, Canadian, and California. Born in Canada to Scottish parents, lived in Edinburgh for 20 years, and then I live in California, San Diego, California. Now, some of you here, you might not really know what are stories. You've heard of them, you understand the concept of storytelling, but it's not necessarily fully familiar to you. You've probably seen those little bubbles, as they call them, the little circles at the top of your Instagram feed, but you're not sure on what you should post there and why did they disappear. But if you think about it as micro content, that small little nuggets of marketing content that will help people to understand you and your business, your products, your service, and to build up that know, like, and trust factor. So it's called micro content, and it's basically images, photographs on your camera roll from your phone, or videos up to 15 seconds. So it's also known as ephemeral content. That means it doesn't last, right? It disappears after 24 hours. Now, I must admit, friends, when this first started to be all the rage a few years ago, my marketer brain went, what? Who on earth in their right mind would create good marketing content that would disappear after 24 hours? Well, it turns out there's some wonderful ways that you can repurpose, and you can create what are called highlights at the top of your Instagram posts. And also you can do it on Facebook, actually your personal profile. They don't have highlights yet on the business page. Usually created on mobile, but they're visible on both mobile and desktop. And depending on your own resources and how creative you want to get, you can actually create stories in desktop video platforms, or a great app like Canva, and you do some beautiful graphics on desktop and then create them in the story format, which is the 9:16 full vertical. You can totally cross-post your stories from Instagram to Facebook. That's always wonderful. I do that. I have a creator account on Instagram. I highly recommend you have a business account. I would not have a personal account for business purposes, but you could if you really wanted to. That's up to you. But usually you're going to have a business profile on Instagram, so you get access to the ads and better metrics and insights and whatnot, audience, understanding your audience. And then you post from Instagram to Facebook, your Facebook business page. Definitely a little more informal than your feed posts if you want to. They're often real time and behind the scenes and storytelling. So on the screen here on slide 4, I've got kind of a lineup of 5 different story types. This is just a quick example. On the left-hand side there, what you see is actually an account called Rebel Recipes, and she's sharing somebody else's post, this Jazz-Mizey. Love this version by Lemon and Thyme Tart. Now that's a wonderful way to post quick and easy, like it takes you a second to post somebody else's content in your stories. And like you'd think, well, why would I want to do that, Mari? Well, in this example, she's spotlighting someone using her recipe. You could do that for sharing client stories, customers, testimonials. This next one in the middle, healthy minute meals, she's sharing, that's called a boomerang when you see it doing its little repeated motion. And then what I've done there in that little video is I just tapped the swipe up. This is a wonderful tool in stories that you can drive traffic, you can drive visitors from your stories to a specific destination page, a landing page. Now, only if you have 10,000 followers. I'll show you that in another slide coming up. You can also direct people to an IGTV, an Instagram television video. In the middle there is one of my favorite little GIFs, the dancing lady there, and it's a countdown timer is a wonderful thing. You could do a countdown timer or a poll just to do a little vote. I just happened to put that on top of a video, but it could also be on the top of a photo or an image. And then on the right hand side, that's just me talking to camera. That's always a wonderful way, is talking to camera. I love all the filters and just a wonderful way to create more connection, more intimacy, build up more deeper relationships. As I mentioned, that know, like, and trust factor with your audience. So why use stories regularly? Well, my main thing is what I call top of feed and top of mind. So what I'm going to do real quick is actually just share on my own phone. You'll see, and I'm going to bring up my phone and so that you can see real time. If I go here to Instagram in particular, we'll open up Instagram and you'll see at the very, very top, as soon as it opens, all of these here. Every single one of these is somebody that's posted real time in the last 24 hours. They've made a post. So, and then down here, this is what's called feed, right? So that's the feed and these are stories. And that's what I mean by top of mind and top of feed. If I come out of Instagram and I go to Facebook, same thing, top of my feed. These are all stories. They're slightly different format. You can see they're much, much bigger. And these are all within the last 24 hours, profiles and pages that you follow. Okay, so I love that ability to have that top of feed, top of mind, like I say. People have short attention spans. You're like, oh my gosh, why do I want to create this micro content? It's a quick and easy way to create that micro content and create that top of feed, top of mind presence. You can get your business seen by much more of your audience because, you know, with the Facebook and Instagram algorithms, the posts that you make on your feed, your wall, right? And that's especially on your business page, they don't reach all your followers. In fact, organic reach on Facebook is an average, unfortunately, of 1 to 6%. Only 1 to 6 out of every 100 people is actually seeing your content on Facebook that you publish on your business page. You still want to publish it. I have some great trainings teaching about how to make get better organic reach. And then also when you invest even a little bit in Facebook ads, you can get better organic reach. But having an active story is that wonderful way to keep that presence in front of your audience. Stories can actually improve your reach and reaching more of your audience. You can create more intimacy and connection, as I mentioned, with your followers and spark more direct engagement. That is people communicating with you into your DM box. This is one of the most important measures of success when it comes to your Facebook and Instagram stories is the engagement is all private. It's not public facing like feed posts. It's private. So you're wanting to get people to respond to you in your DM box so that you can begin those conversations and convert people into customers and clients, or certainly into leads, hot leads. You want to tell your small, medium-sized business story and the story of your customers. Wonderful way to share the story of your customers. Now, Mark Zuckerberg said about 18 months ago, it was like spring of 2019, he did this whole pivot to privacy. Annual developer conference, Facebook, F8, Mark Zuckerberg got up on stage and he's like, declared the future is private. And now what he was talking about is the 3 big private messaging apps. That's Messenger, Instagram Direct, and WhatsApp. And what we're talking about is that when you post a Facebook story on your business page, you'll get the responses will come into Messenger, your business page Messenger. And then on Instagram, they come into your Instagram Direct box. And then there's also WhatsApp status. If you're outside the US, WhatsApp is the most popular messaging app, of course, owned by Facebook. And then stories, as I mentioned, is all the engagement is private. That's a huge part of Zuckerberg's pivot to privacy, is that Instagram, Facebook, Messenger stories, all private. Facebook groups is another area, messenger rooms, and then Instagram reels. Groups and rooms we're not talking about here today, but I wanted to also include Instagram reels, which is brand new, just rolled out recently to 50 different countries. And you can post reels. They're just similar to TikTok. They're 15-second little videos, fun, a way to reach more of your audience. And you now have a reels tab on your Instagram account. And you can also post those to your stories. So Zuckerberg wants us to create what he calls meaningful social interaction. And I love that. Relationships are so close to my heart. I wrote a book on it, The New Relationship Marketing, a few years ago now. The concept being the new is the digital. Relationship marketing has been around for a long time, decades, but the new part is this digital, which hasn't been around as long. Now, Zuckerberg has also said that stories are the future. And, you know, they copied the feature from Snapchat and several years ago now, and it just took off on Instagram. People love it. And they have all these really cool filters, and you'll see in a moment different ways to get people to interact and engage with you. So stories of the future, Mark Zuckerberg said, and also on both Instagram and Facebook, as well as the new Instagram Reels on slide 9 there. And then in terms of numbers, this is always astounding to me. These are about a year old, over a year now. We haven't seen any updated stats from Facebook yet, but these are super impressive that there's 500 million, 500 million daily. This is not monthly. These are daily active users in Facebook and Messenger stories combined, and then another 500 million in Instagram stories. So that's a massive captive audience to get your content in front of and have that consistent visibility, which I just love. And then actually stories are growing 15 times faster than feed content. Now that does not mean that you should abandon your feed content. You definitely want to keep posting content to your wall on both Instagram and Facebook. And I'll show you actually in a moment where you can just easily repurpose and share your feed content to your stories to, again, get that more visibility, more reach. By the way, one of the main reasons that stories really took off and are growing, aside from the fact that Facebook and Instagram really made them prominent, you know, the top of the feed, is that the user is in control. They tap and swipe to see more or less stories from a same account or a different account. So as opposed to just scrolling vertically through their feed, they can be much more at choice of how much they consume. And now on this next slide, I love to show that people love to touch their phones, and Instagram in particular. Facebook has many of these features, not quite as many, but Instagram has some super cool stickers are called that you can add on. That top left one is called a slider, and you can put any emoji in there. You can change up the color, and people just going to tap and swipe, just swipe along to put their answer halfway in, all the way to the end. Or you can ask questions, or you have your audience ask you questions. Ask me a question about, you can change the text there. You can say, ask me a question about whatever, our new product or our new CEO, or what flavor would you like us to work on next? You know, it's any way to get your audience to participate. Polls, wonderful things to do in there. You can do emojis or words. Quizzes, you can do up to 4. Those are really fun. I see a lot of different accounts will put these really engaging multi-story, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, maybe more. It's like a trivia quiz. And maybe you have every Monday you do a trivia quiz about your products, your services, or something relevant to your business and your audience. Another one's just simply called DM me. You can have the people to direct message you. And a couple more I popped in off screen there is gift cards and small business. So support small business. I love that one with the little shopping bag with the heart on it, because I love to put that out there and tag my local businesses that I shop at, my favorite organic grocery store, Jimbo's, for example. Now then, up in the top right, watch this. The typical cell phone user, I'm going to tell you how many times people love to touch their phones. And when you see these numbers, you'll be so blown away. You'll want to do stories with interactive stickers every day, because if people love to touch their phones, you give them a reason to do that, they will keep interacting and engaging with you, and you've got that much more captive audience. I'm going to give you some ideas of what to share in your stories in a moment too. So the typical cell phone user touches their phone 2,617 times a day. It's astounding. I know this is based on real data, a survey report. It was done not that long ago. And then the extreme cell phone user, which I know I am, and many fellow folks here, you're probably similar too, but the extreme cell phone user touches their phone 5,400 times a day, which is just astronomical to me. And I think they must be counting every keystroke when you're typing a text or something, right? So where to create stories? You've got two choices on your Instagram, where I got my two little blue arrows there. You can either tap your story. If you don't have a story in there yet, it will actually show you, tap to create story. Anytime you see someone with circle, the Instagram colors, kind of the purple and pink and yellow and orange colors, Instagram colors around their profile picture, you know that they have an active story. On Facebook, it's blue. It's the Facebook blue that goes around the profile picture to show there's an active story there. So you either tap your story or the camera icon. On Facebook, inside of the regular Facebook app or the Pages Manager app. If you're not using the Pages Manager mobile app, I highly recommend you, because it's manage Facebook page on the fly so much easier. So you're either going to tap your profile picture. Actually, that's all you do. You tap your profile picture, and you can see in my right-hand screenshot there, it actually says, create story, and that's all you do over there. Or you could do that to create additional content directly on Facebook. What I like to do, keep things super simple, as I mentioned, you just go ahead and cross-post, go into your settings on Instagram, cross-post your business stories over to your Facebook business page. So what to post? Your stories, ideas. I like to use the acronym ABS. Always be strategic, not just like filler, anything, throw it out there kind of content. Everything you put out there has to represent you, your brand, your style. It has to be, quote, on brand, right? Even if you don't think you have a brand, you do it. You have a brand, small business, a solopreneur, medium-sized business. Of course, you definitely have a brand. You could do some product showcases. And if you were going to put a lot of products in one photo, what if you put them in 3 to 5, like one photo per product, and gave people almost like a slideshow? Here's a really hot tip for you, friends. You can never post too many stories. You're not going to jam up people's feed. Different if you're going on the Instagram feed or the Facebook feed, the wall, right, where you like too many posts. But in stories, again, the user is in control, so they can choose to consume as much or as little of your stories. Maybe some exclusive deals. Meet the team, your staff, your employees, profile them, talking about their names, helping people, again, to build that human relationship, know, like, and trust factor. Ask me anything, ask us anything, use the question sticker, interactive quizzes, maybe with some prizes, memories. There's a place right inside of stories on Instagram that you can pull up your memories and post that. TBT is Throwback Thursday, or I think they have even ones for Friday, or you can post your memories anytime you want. Highlight what's called user-generated content. So invariably, that's going to be mentions. Anytime someone mentions you, that you can go ahead and put that right into your own stories, which is a wonderful thing to do. I've got an example in a moment I'll show you. And then sharing your own posts. As I mentioned, when the feed posts have limited reach. So why not take advantage of a whole other new feature, well, new as of a few years, but it's still relatively new. The novelty hasn't worn off, to share your own feed posts, wall posts, and get more visibility, more reach. You can also go live. You can stream live right from your phone, specifically on Instagram. Very popular thing to do. Some examples in the blue screen there, that's what I'm talking about with my own post. So I wrote up a big blog post you can find on my blog at marismith.com/blog, and it's all about hashtags on Facebook. After 7 years, 2013, they launched hashtags, and they're finally actually going to have a purpose, one of which is to increase your organic reach. So this, the post in the middle there, that is actually my wall post. And I like to put like a little emoji on it or a GIF that says tap here. And I like to put a little moving. Those are wonderful little features to actually, you can go inside of the GIF. You pull up the GIF feature. And then on the right, that's where I'm talking about where I want to support a local business or a small business. These were some flavored geese that I found, and it turned out I look it up. I look on the label. I check if they're on Instagram. I took some pictures. I put it together with this nifty little app called Unfold. And then I'm not kidding you, within seconds of me posting this in my stories, gold nugget ghee turned around and they shared it in their stories. It's actually a nifty way for now. It's a win-win. I gave them some visibility in my account. They give me some visibility in their account. So I like to tag other businesses. You definitely want to add some CTAs as calls to actions for conversion. It's not just about throwing a bunch of content out there. You want to be able to actually drive people somewhere, not for every story necessarily, but on Instagram, what that looks like, it's called a swipe up link. And it's a little link icon in the top where you're creating your story. So you can put, if you've got over 10,000 followers, you can put an actual web link in there. If you have less than 10,000 followers, anybody can link to an IGTV video, and there, the links in your description and in your comments are clickable. They're active. The people can tap on the link in an IGTV video. You could also use the link in your bio, right? It's the only active link. I don't know why Instagram, I've never changed that. They don't let us have active links except in IGTV or the swipe up over 10K followers or in the bio. I always like to say, begin with the end in mind. Where are you sending your audience? It's special offers, a sales page, email opt-in, lead magnets often called, where you're giving them something for free in exchange for their email address. You could tag products, send them to your blog. And remember, you want to use the Facebook pixel. So when you're driving your followers, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you're driving them to a certain place on your website, article, a blog, an opt-in, a sale. You've got the Facebook pixel and there's going to fire, and this is a little more advanced and it would be a whole other training, but then you would go into Facebook Ads Manager and retarget the folks that haven't converted yet to paying customers. Test out your different destinations. So show your customers some love. Anytime someone mentions, you'll see there's a place inside your stories that you'll be able to actually reshare. It'll actually show up in your DMs, or there's a place in when you go to create a story that will say, the little @ symbol, and you can add that to your story. And I like to just add a thank you sticker, or maybe you could just gather up some video clips and images, some screenshots, and showcase them in a series of stories. You could ask for testimonials and feedback and ratings, and you share that in your stories. These are humble brags, as they call them. It's wonderful to be able to do that. If someone sends you something by direct message, just ask their permission if it's okay to share that. So some examples in the middle here, this was a training I was doing for about 13,000 beauty consultants in a company called Unique in the middle one there. And so Sarah, her name is, and now you can see it. I like to add, like I added the wow and the thank you, and then that line that says, "That's awesome to hear, Sarah." I love to use people's first names. It is very much a person's sweetest sounding word in their entire vocabulary. By the way, I know you've got questions, and in this particular platform, Break Talk, you probably already asked some questions. I'll get to them in a moment, but feel free to pop your name in there. When you're asking a question where it says ask questions, that's the little chat there that says ask questions, a question mark. But pop your first name in there so I know what your first name is. That'd be awesome. But anyway, so I'm saying back, this is me sharing Sarah's story where she tagged me, and I'm now putting it in my story. Now I'm giving her some visibility. Same thing on the right there with Davina. And I added the little thank you, and I like to place it slightly off of the story so that other people, my followers, can see that I added that as a great way to just give a little bit more love back to your followers. And my friend Cece Johnson, she is a beautiful designer, a creative, wonderful being, and she does designs for weddings, entertaining, living. And I'm showing you this as a screenshot of her Instagram, where I've got my moving blue arrow there. Those are called highlights. Remember I said there's a way to save your stories. And unfortunately, in this particular training, we're not going to super in depth into all the technical how-tos, because that would be a much, much longer session. But there's a way you can add, and you'll see when you make a story, it'll say add to highlight. You can create this row of highlights. And in Cece's example, when you tap into her client love, that's the first story you see. And it's been there a long time now. If you can barely see it on your screen at the top, there's those little dashes. That shows you how many stories that she has just in that client love highlight. So it's a wonderful way to do it. Another one is Buffer. I love following Buffer. They're a great social media management platform, and they do some great quizzes and some really fun things in their stories. Quick tip for you, by the way, sidebar, if you're still not sure about stories and you're like, gee, Maria, I'm just not sure what to create and what would be on brand for me, start following other accounts, maybe in a related business. If it's a competitor, you don't have to follow them. You can just tap into their stories. Keep in mind though, by the way, when you look at a story, that account holder, that brand or business or person, can see that you've seen their story. So it's not stealth. I just wanted to warn you about that. You think, I'm going to check out all my competitors, but they're going to see that you saw their stories. So Buffers called it brand spotlight. Their highlight for the customer testimonials and showcasing, they call it brand spotlight. And there's an example there of a Jot, at Jot, and they're just featuring some of their customers. Wonderful way to do it. So a couple more slides and then we'll take your questions. Best practices. I strongly recommend, if you can, post consistently. I know it's tricky. Sometimes I tell you I'm in the same boat. Days when I'm out and about or I'm camera ready anyway, I'll do things on my phone, or people love to know just about, I was going to say travels. We're not doing a whole lot of traveling right now, but maybe some local, I don't know, you're at the beach, or pets, or, just a little bit, our kids, family, nature, aspects of yourself personally or your team that are appropriate to weave into some of the more business posts. Is just wonderful. I'm going to recommend, if you can, roughly 3 stories. If you can only do 1, that's fine, but roughly 3 in a row. 3 in a row is fine. So you kind of go boom, 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 and it just adds on to it. Every 24 hours if possible. You're going to plan ahead of time and storyboard that out is one aspect of it. And then you're going to mix that in with some of the real time, and it's totally fine to do that. I recommend, there's 3 different third-party apps. There's others, but these are ones I'm going to suggest. Tailwind is a wonderful app to go ahead and schedule your stories, and you get metrics, and you can put that little link in your bio or later, or Planoly. Then on the paid side, you can do paid placement in both Instagram and Facebook stories. If you've ever done any ads, it's automatic placement, and you're already advertising in stories, even if you didn't realize it. But if you wanted to do just stories, you go into Facebook Ads Manager, and there's a place where you deselect automatic placements, which is the default, and you'll select manual placements. And then from there, as you can see on my slide, you can check or uncheck if you want. Let's say you just wanted to do Instagram stories because your audience is predominantly over there, or you just want to do it just as a test, a side-by-side test, Facebook versus Instagram, and that's on the paid side. And so these can be super, super effective to drive traffic and sales and bring customers to you, whether in person or online. So a few of my favorite stories and apps, you'll see that on slide 23. And so Wave Video and InVideo, those are both desktop ways to make video in that wonderful 9:16 portrait, full vertical. Boosted is a mobile app. Love those guys. I got you some special deals there. In Light, that's another mobile app. And then I love the apps that can create just a little bit different and unique story style. With that, we're ready for your questions. Listen, I'm going to do my absolute best to get to as many as I can. If I don't get to your question, feel free to reach out to me on any of my social platforms, at Mari Smith everywhere, and Mari_Smith on Instagram. With that, let's dive in. I'd love to take your questions. All right. Great job. Oh my gosh, I'm loving your questions. I see them all here, friends. And so we have got plenty of time. So I'm going to dive in. A couple of ones I saw right out the gate there. Thank you so much for just love you being here. Pamela was asking about getting the screenshots. You have access to my slides on your version. It's a little bit different on my version, but on your version of Bright Talk, you should see a tab called Attachments. Look for Attachments, and everybody here can download the slides, okay? Someone was asking, can I share this with my team? Absolutely. And someone was asking, great stuff, Mari. Thank you. She says, she or he says, I missed some of the beginning. Will there be an encore recording? So there's definitely a replay. So you can still share the same link, I believe it is, to register with the Verizon here and Bright Talk and get the replay. Okay, so storage related questions. Oh my gosh, love it. Okay, and I was really hoping to be able to switch to sharing some screen and have my phone up on screen. I might be able to do that so I can do some real demos, but if I'm not, then I'll give you some other solutions. So someone was asking, do stories reach most of your followers or friends? And that's a really great question, because as many of you may know, I mentioned at the beginning of the talk with the algorithms on Facebook, the organic reach, when you go to make a post on your Facebook wall business page, organic reach in today's world on average is between 1 and 6%, right? So between 1 and 6 people out of every 100 are seeing your content on your Facebook page, which is really dismal, isn't it? They want you to pay for ads, of course, but there's wonderful ways to accelerate your organic reach. That's a whole other separate topic. We'll be covering that on one of the upcoming Verizon webinars. But with stories, the algorithms do prevail over there. It depends on how active you are. It could be as low as 10%. It could be as much as 25%. It just depends on your relationship with your followers, how many of them are really devoted followers. You can check your insights. If you go into your Instagram app and go into your insights, you'll be able to see how many viewers you're getting on your stories. Martin is asking, should I share stories from Instagram to Facebook, or should I do different stories in Instagram and Facebook? It's a great question, Martin. I love this one. And I personally say it's totally fine to connect your Instagram business account and your Facebook business account, and then generate your stories in Instagram, and they will automatically cross-post to your Facebook business page stories. If some folks here may have it connected to their personal Facebook account, you could do that way. But obviously, you know, if you're wanting to promote your business, I would stick with the business page. Here's what I do. I have a business account. I just recently switched from creator back to business on the account level with Instagram, and I have it connected to my business page. So all of my Instagram stories go to my business page. But then what I also do is I have the setting so that I'm going to save the stories to my camera roll. They're sitting on the camera roll of my phone. And I'll wait maybe 12 hours, 15, 24 hours, just depending on the topic. If it's super timely, I'll put it up quicker, but I'll take that same story and then I pop it into my Facebook personal profile, because I do use my personal profile on Facebook for business use as well. And I have a lot of followers. I have like 320,000 followers on my personal profile. So I like to use that to just get some more mileage. Let's see. Elias is saying, why do I have to link my Facebook business page to an account? It's a related question. You don't have to. I would say to that one, Elias, and anyone else has the same question, it's not necessary. You don't have to. Facebook doesn't make you. You don't have to if you don't want to. Where you might have to is if you want to get into the advertising aspect of it. It's a little bit more advanced. I touched on it in this talk, but if you're wanting to do ads in both Facebook and Instagram, you actually do them inside of the Facebook Ads Manager. I know it's bizarre to do an Instagram ad inside of Facebook Ads Manager, but you can also do them native. You'll see the little, like when you go to make a post on your Instagram wall, and you'll see a little button that will say, it'll even flash up and say promote, like, do you want to promote this? And you can do that natively inside the Instagram app. Let's see, someone else is asking, have you found that Facebook is more effective than Instagram for marketing success? Good question. Facebook more effective than Instagram. So it's truly, truly going to depend, because they are different audiences, but there's a big overlap. There's 2.7 billion users on Facebook, and last that they broke out the stats, it's 1 billion on Instagram. It's probably actually a lot more. I think it's maybe 1.2, 1.5 even, but there's a big overlap, right? There are a lot of people like me, like many of you, that use both. So you're going to have to test. There's no like cut and dried answer, kind of prescriptive answer for everybody. So I would, like I say, test. On Instagram, you're going to find a slightly younger demographic, maybe kind of 30s and up, although there are plenty of folks in their 20s and 30s and up, and Facebook's slightly more mature, although there's plenty of folks in their 30s and up over there, but it may be more average age, early 40s and up on Facebook. But just need to test it. Let's see, someone's asking about quizzes. Yes, quizzes, because questions hook the mind. When you ask a question, it helps people to, or they want to respond. They just can't help it. They want to tap that button or answer the question or answer the poll or hit the slider. And so this person's asking, quizzes sound great. How do you load a quiz? Is there any software that Instagram likes? Well, it's totally native. It's totally native inside of the Instagram stories. You'll go to the little sticker up at the top. Like I say, I think my screen is not behaving because I pulled my phone up here ready to share with you, but let's see if it will. Yeah, I think it might not. Yeah, it's not going to behave. Bummer. I don't know why it stopped doing that. I think even if I try to share my whole screen, no, I don't want to share my whole. Will it do that? Yeah, it's not playing nice. I was just upgrading my Mac before this presentation, so I think it's just been a little ornery. Not to worry, but I will have some additional places you can get help. Okay, so hang on for a second here because I'm going to give you guys some extra resources where you can get additional support. So, but the quizzes is native. Another question here: is it acceptable to repost someone's stories? Now, then, this is a great question because unlike anything public on Facebook, it has the share button, right? Anything posted to public on a business page, you just hit that share. You can share it wherever you want. And then on Twitter, you retweet, right? LinkedIn, all the social channels, you can hit the share button. The thing is with the stories on Instagram, really, and Facebook too, although I think they have a setting in there on the Facebook page, you can allow your followers to share. But on Instagram, it's not feasible to actually share a story unless you've been mentioned. And you'll know you've been mentioned because it will pop up in your little notifications. Also, there's a place when you go to create a story, if you tap create and then you navigate to the @ there's an @ sign in there, and it will show you any of your mentions in the last 24 hours. So I love that. I love to be able to repost other stories. And there's a related question I think I saw there. Yeah, someone asked, is it important to add a comment when reposting someone else's post to your story? If someone tags you when they repost your content, should you also add it to your story, even though it's duplicating your own content? So love this question. Yes, frankly, I love to do that. Listen, all of you tuning in here today, if you are on Instagram, you are more than welcome. Take a screenshot. Let me give you my best pose. Or whatever you want to do. Just create a story. Say I'm just learning stories with Mari Smith and Verizon Small Business Webinar Series. And if you tag me at Mari_Smith, then I will reshare that to my stories. And I love to do that because it does many things. First of all, it puts a spotlight on you. I love to put the spotlight on other people. And second of all, it helps my audience see more people. I just said that, but it builds kind of like relationship capital, if you want, relationship building. And it's just a nice thing to do. But then also, remember I said ABS, always be strategic. So it's like you're wearing your marketing hat. Is like if someone's giving me feedback on a talk that I just did, then what I'm doing is I'm sharing to my followers and they remember, oh yeah, that's right, Mari does presentations, she leads training, she's an expert on Facebook and Instagram, and here she is doing a webinar. So I love to do that. And I like to add a little comment. It's not important. I know a lot of people I see in my stories, they just hit, because Instagram makes it really easy. It'll say, add this to your stories, and people just tap and add and off they go. But I like to play with it just a little, maybe take 2 fingers and angle it slightly, add a couple of GIFs, add a little thank you and a comment. And that's a nice way to do. Michelle is saying, I have 6 circles on my stories, 2 rows with 3 circles, not in a straight line anymore. Is Instagram doing any testing? Yes, they are. I love that Michelle's bringing this up because literally, friends, for the last, I want to say 18 months, maybe even 2 years, both Instagram and Facebook have been really testing a variety of layouts when it comes to stories, because it's an incredibly popular way in which to create content. And I know there was a couple of like really beginner questions, and I apologize for folks if you're not quite understanding like what stories are. If you have an Instagram account, you just open up your Instagram on your mobile phone. Instagram's the easiest place to see it. And those little circles, if you follow people, you'll see little circles at the top. And when they have the Instagram colors around them, that means someone's got an active story, like they posted in the last 24 hours. So your homework, if you're super brand new to stories, just start following a few more people on Instagram and look at their stories and start playing with it and navigate a little bit. And you just swipe your phone right to get to the next story, or you can tap the left and right sides of your phone to navigate forward or navigate back. Now, and I'm going to come back to that question. I think, did I just read a question there and I got myself sidetracked? There was a great one about how often, and I was going to give you somebody to follow. Oh yeah, someone was saying how many stories is recommended per platform. I think I said it, maybe that question came up before I said the answer, but my recommendation, if you can, always feasible. I don't always manage this, but if you can strive for 3 a day, I mean, minimum would be 1, right? Because then you're always going to have an active story in the top of your followers on both Facebook and Instagram. But if you can do 3, then it kind of makes that arc. It's like a beginning, middle, and end, or it's like if you think of something to present, like in helping to get the word out for this webinar, I did a quiz. I did like a poll. I said, are you using stories on Facebook and Instagram to regularly generate traffic, leads, and sales? And then the answers were yes, absolutely, or no, not really. And it was amazing. I was about 65, 70% said no, not really. Now I asked the poll first, then the next story said, great, come and join me on this webinar, and gave them details about it. And then the third story was a little bit more information, just a slightly different spin on the message about the webinar. So strive for 3 a day if you can. Now, Instagram's head of fashion, she's kind of a neat lady based in London, I believe. Her name is Eva Chen. And her Instagram ID, if you just search on Instagram in that little magnifying glass, just search on Instagram for Eva Chen, Chen. But her username, her ID on Instagram is EVACHEN 212. So Eva Chen 212. So she has 1.4 million followers. That's a lot. She is the most followed actual like Instagram employee. She works for Instagram. She's a head of fashion, and you want to see stories. She like because their dash is across the top of the phone when you tap into the story. I showed that in some of my screenshots. That you'll see hers are practically little dots because you're like 25 stories in a row. So she's kind of a power story user. So let's see. I'm going to go back to we're talking about reposting. Oh, how many stories? That's right. I did get and then mention a comment. Oh, the layouts, Michelle. I wanted to finish up on my comment about Michelle seeing 6 circles with 2 rows, 3 circles. So both Facebook and Instagram are really, really testing this format because it's very easy. I know at first it doesn't sound like it. If you're kind of new, you're like, oh my God, Mari, this sounds like a lot of work. And then it's going to disappear after 24 hours. It's like I say, but it's new, it's hip, it's trendy. Even after a few years, people love it. It creates that more intimate connection with your followers. And even if you think, well, gosh, I'm totally B2B, I don't want that much intimacy, but people are people. It's all people to people. And so Facebook's wanting to create more ways to showcase this short form content and also put ads in. There's a great question I saw about let's see, the person that's an architect. Yeah. Someone asked, how would this translate for an engineering firm where clients are architects and commercial building owners? So this goes to anybody who think, oh my gosh, this stories thing is just for people doing selfies, and it's but it's because you can get really creative. And my one word to use, humanize. Okay, I know you're talking about architects and commercial building and projects and engineering and designing and whatever, and you think, oh my gosh, it's all about the building and the structure. No, there's people. You can showcase projects for sure, but see how you can put people behind it. Like, who are the architects? Reveal some information about the architects themselves, the clients with their permission, of course, and like the stories behind what's being built, what projects are being built right now, and take people on a journey with you. Oh, a good question here. What are some things you can do before you have 10,000 which is the ability to swipe up and drive people to a website? This person's saying, I have a photography business and a small art workshop. 3 things for you, my friend, and this goes for everybody. Number 1, get people to DM you. Honestly, friends, I think that's one of the most powerful metrics for measuring success on stories is how many people direct message you. And I know that if there's a limited amount of time in the day and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to manage all this. The good news is you can now manage your Instagram direct messages in the Facebook Creator Studio, like on desktop. They can also be managed on Instagram desktop, but you don't have to give someone your login. You could have someone on your team managing your Instagram direct messages through Business Manager in Facebook. It's a little bit to set up, but once you've got that, it totally is all set up. So getting people to DM you is a wonderful way. Number 2 is you can send people to the link, just say, see the link in my bio, and they tap to open up your main Instagram, right? They're in your stories, but now they're going to look at your main profile and they can tap the link in your bio. That's all. And you can change up that link, or you can use Linktree. I use Tailwind. So you'll see in my Instagram, it says smart.bio/Mari_Smith. So that's my smart bio where it's always updating with new links. And then the third thing is you can include links to your IGTV videos. Instagram lets us put links into IGTV. We're almost out of time here. Hello, Bobby Bluford, my friend. He says, I have a big following on Instagram, but you spend most of your time engaging on Facebook. I'm afraid that I'll water down each if I divide my time in half. Well, I wouldn't consider it half, Bobby. I would take, like, if you're mostly on Facebook, take just 10% of that time and start playing around a little bit more with Instagram and post, maybe even cross posting and seeing what action you get over there. And if you get a little bit of traction, don't just divide it fully in half. Do a little bit of testing first. Some folks were also asking about just how to get some support and get the Amy was asking, where can we get the technical tips on our coaching? So I do have a program. You guys can check out marysmith.com/FB Essentials. So it's marysmith.com/FB Essentials, a brand new course that I'm leading. Is going to teach you everything you need to know about both Facebook and Instagram marketing, and will include stories in there. Okay, we are out of time. I know there's so many more questions. I see it here. Wowie zow. I wish I could get to them all, but that was amazing. I love your questions. Jack, with the issue with Facebook, please, this is for everybody. Come and join me on my Social Scoop group. It is on Facebook. I think I can put that right here in the announcement. There you go. Just to go to Facebook and just look for Mari Smith Social Scoop. And it's a wonderful group to get support from me and from my team. You can DM me on Instagram, Mari_Smith, or DM me on Facebook. It's at Mari Smith on Facebook, the one with the blue check. More than happy to answer your questions if I didn't get to them today. Friends, it's truly a joy to be with you here. I'll see you again in a month's time because I'm going to do 2 more webinars, one in September, one in October for Verizon Small Business Webinar Series. Thanks for being here. Take care. And we just have a little message for you to close up. Thanks, Andy, and thanks for having me. Cheers.
And that's it for today's webinar. Our thanks to Mari for sharing all of that insight about how businesses can tell their story, stand out on social media, certainly something very important during these times. Now, Mari has so much good stuff to share. We weren't quite able to fit it all into one episode, so make sure to keep an eye out for the next session with Mari. She'll be returning to complete her series. Now, you can check out the other webinars as well in this series on our Bright Talk channel page. Now, our webinar series is taking a short break, though, until the end of the summer. If you've been tuning in every week, thank you, but don't worry, we'll be back in the fall, picking up again on September 15th with Mr. Jay Baer. As an author of 6 best-selling books and founder of 5 multi-million-dollar companies, he will be here to share 6 steps to rewire customer loyalty and boost your business. It's all about how you can embrace your toughest critics and protect your reputation online. So we're definitely looking forward to having Jay Baer here. We've already got a host of great guests lined up for when we do return in the fall. Thank you again for joining us. We will see you with a new one in our small business webinar series in September. We'll see you then.